Here's the paradox. The more AI dominates the internet, the more valuable you become. Why? Because AI can mimic knowledge, but it cannot mimic trust. As you know, I was the first creator to raise a venture round, $1.7 million. As a creator, it still blows my mind. But what's even crazier is that my investor, Slow Ventures, raised $60 million to invest in creators. You know what's their thesis? People who build trust with their audience. They're not looking for, the next Mr. Beast. Of course, Mr. Beast is great and he builds great projects, but if you are entertaining people, you're competing with all the funny people in the world. That's what Sam Lesson said. But if you're deep into something like carving wood or vibe coding, or you just love designing kids' bedrooms, the audience is gonna trust you because they know you put hundreds of hours into what you love, and you can create the product that's gonna change their lives, and you can create content that's gonna change their lives. This is what they're investing in. And creators build this trust by building their personal brand. So if you're watching this and you want to ask me how to start in 2025, how to stand out, attract clients, and make money with your personal brand in the AI era when everyone and everything is getting replaced, and yes, blah, 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 creators are gonna get replaced, the trust, I think, is not gonna get replaced. So today, I'll show you how I'm building my personal brand in 2025 and how I am using AI as my not so secret weapon, because a lot of people are using AI, but I feel like it really helps me step up my game. So first of all, a couple of mindset shifts need to happen. First of all, you need to understand that building a personal brand is not like, oh, I'm gonna post a video, oh, it didn't go viral, oh, the audience doesn't like me, and that's it. No, it's work. You need to dedicate some time every day. But also there is another mindset thing. You are the product. What do we like about products? Your personal brand is not just your Instagram aesthetic, just beige or just pink, or a pretty logo. It's about how clear your message is. And your initial message has to be very clear and ideally niche. So if you're starting an AI blog or you're starting a cleaning blog, it has to be clear why people should subscribe. By you being your product, I mean that it's your ideas, it's your voice, it's your story, and most importantly, it's your reputation. When you build your brand right, people don't buy your product, they buy it from you. And what I noticed right from the start is that people follow passion. So I started my first channel talking about GMAT and TOEFL, and I was so passionate about taking the standardized tests and moving to the US, and people followed that passion, and we were able to create a product to help that cohort. Later on, I became very passionate with building a business and making it in Silicon Valley and fundraising, and this is why I started Silicon Valley Girl. And then later, I became a mom, and I became fascinated by other moms who were able to raise a kid, but also build a business. So I started to research all the things I could do to make that a possibility for me as well. And I don't do it alone. Yes, I have a team, but we also use a lot of AI tools, even when I feel like I have no idea what I'm doing. So for example, step number one that you can do using AI, you can ask it to find your niche. Because most people get stuck on day one, like what should I even build my brand around? Use an app that you use the most. For example, you use ChatGPT every day, then go to ChatGPT. Because your brand is what you already have, whether you're a creator with 1 million followers or you're just starting out as a creator. There is something that you're passionate about. There is something you keep asking about. So if I were you, I would go to ChatGPT. Let's ask my ChatGPT, what would it say? I want to start a blog. Imagine I don't have any blogs. I want to start a blog today. What should I post about? Because I've been talking to my ChatGPT for more than a year now. It knows me better than some of my friends. And immediately, it gives me your expertise, business, tech, language learning, marketing, investing, personal insights or stories, behind the scenes, your travels, your parenting, your investments. If you could just narrow it down to one topic, what would it be? I want to start with a perspective niche that's growing, that's profitable. How to thrive in the age of AI as an entrepreneur, creator, or investor. ChatGPT knows me so well. This is the topic that I'm most passionate about right now. Oh my God. See, you can do it right now. Ask your ChatGPT what it thinks you should blog about. Oh, and by the way, how do we like my new hair? I just got this haircut yesterday and it feels so cool. I feel like I'm a person from France back in the 70s, and I'm gonna play with my style a little bit. Anyways, when ChatGPT gives you a recommendation, another thing I want you to think about is that if you continue with this topic, do you like when it's going to lead you in 5 years? And let's imagine everything goes right. Because you can guide that perception in the direction that you want. If you want to be more of a celebrity, speak at conferences, that's one niche. If you want to just do a lifestyle vlog and travel, that's another niche. The thing is, we can make people see us the way we want to see ourselves. So you have to believe in that vision of yourself first, and then tell ChatGPT, like, hey, you need to think as a coach, as a mentor, as the best social media person in the world who's managing this celebrity that I'm going to become in 5 years. So you have to think like that person. And when I'm going to ask you questions about posts, about anything, you're going to reply like that. Because in order to achieve something, you need to start thinking like a person you're going to be in 3 or 5 years. ChatGPT knows a lot about my goals. So when I ask it a question, it's like, if you want to become whatever you want to become, don't do it. It's not going to be on brand for you anymore. If you don't have an AI that knows a lot about you, think about topics that you naturally talk about for hours. What people ask you for help with, the types of content you enjoy consuming, what podcasts, what books, what creators, skills you've developed in the past 5 years, results or transformations you've helped others achieve, and what you want to be known for in 3 years. You can just take this prompt, which I'm gonna put into the description. You're a personal brand strategist. Help me brainstorm my personal brand direction based on the following. And then you put in answers to the questions I just gave you. Identify 3 to 5 personal brand angles or identities I could build around. For each, include a one-liner describing the positioning and an example content theme or series I could create. Then give you a recommendation for the strongest option and why. This will give you 3 to 5 possible directions, and if you don't like them, ask ChatGPT to iterate based on the one that's almost right. Maybe you'll end up finding one topic, maybe you'll end up finding 2 or 3 topics. If you're like me, if you like 2 or 3 topics, you can just start 2 or 3 channels. Nobody is stopping you from that. So just start multiple and see how it goes. But don't overthink it, please. You don't need perfection. You just need a starting point. Now that you've defined your niche, the next challenge is to make your ideas look as good as they sound. And that's exactly where Gamma comes in. I've tested dozens of tools to help structure my ideas and content, but the one I keep coming back to is Gamma. It started as a presentation tool, and that's how I discovered it, because I wanted an AI-generated presentation that looks great. But with their latest relaunch, it's become so much more. You can now build everything from landing pages to trend reports or viral LinkedIn posts, all powered by AI. What I love is this. Let's say you've just had a big insight for your next LinkedIn post. Instead of starting at a blank slide or a Google Doc, you drop it into Gamma and it turns it into a polished, shareable asset in minutes. No design skills, no formatting stress, just clarity. I use Gamma to create pictures for LinkedIn posts, one-pagers for my PR team, and presentations for my Lingua Marina channel. It's the perfect tool if you want your personal brand to look professional without wasting hours. Whether you're a marketer, solopreneur, or a content creator, Gamma gives you the edge. Try it yourself at gamma.app. If you're in your 20s and you have all the time in the world, just start posting without thinking about monetizing it. That's how I did it. I just started posting. I just wanted to share. I couldn't stop myself from posting. But I also realized that if you're in your 30s right now and you're watching this video, you might be like, Marina, I have a job, I have kids. If I dedicate a few hours a week into something, I also wanted to become an income stream. Maybe I want to quit my job later and just double down my passion. So if monetization is the goal, you need to be very strategic about what you're filming. Think of monetization as a ladder. You climb it one step at a time. First, you can get paid for your skills. That's the easiest way you can monetize your personal brand. That could mean freelancing, doing client work, or offering service. But then you get paid for your knowledge. You're no longer just doing the work, you're teaching others through coaching, courses, or consulting. And eventually, you get paid for your presence. Brands invite you to speak, sponsor your content, or partner with you simply because of your influence. This was my path too. I started with language tutoring and exam prep. Then I created and sold digital products. I built a company around language travel. And now brands also reach out to me because of the audience and trust I've built. And I feel like having multiple streams of income is what makes this career more consistent. And you don't need a massive following to monetize, even if your blog has 100 people. But you're talking about one specific niche, like investing. You can already start promoting different apps and earn affiliate commission. There are so many ways to monetize a small community these days because there are millions of people who are making a living by creating content. So when I started 10 years ago, it was really hard to find a brand who would sponsor me right away. Now, you just go on affiliate platforms, you go on UGC platforms, you create content for other brands. There are so many opportunities. You basically just need to try different things to see what works for you. Step number 3 is to learn how to create content that converts. Because you need to get attention, you need to provide value, but you also need to monetize what you're building. My favorite system for content creation is something I call the content waterfall. Here's how it works. You start with one core idea. Let's say it's a short post you write for LinkedIn or X. Then you turn that same idea into a short video, a YouTube script, a series of carousels, a few strong quotes or hooks. So you just turned one idea into 10 to 20 assets without burning out. And you can use different AI tools for that. You can use EasyGen, you can use Poppy AI, you can just use ChatGPT. But the golden rule is adapt every idea for the platform you're posting on. Use AI to help you rewrite, reformat, repurpose. We do that every single week, and let me show you what's happening. This glass represents how much content we can consume as a population. Back in the day, we used to have that much content. So it was really easy to grow as a creator just by posting on one platform. You grabbed a lot of people's attention. Now, the amount of content with AI is way more than this glass can fit. People are still looking for great ideas, but you need to break through the noise. And in order to break through the noise, you have to be everywhere in this glass. Here's LinkedIn side, here is Instagram, here is X, here is YouTube, here is Shorts, here is TikTok. And again, you don't need to come up with a new idea for every single platform. Just prioritize a couple of platforms. For me, it's LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And I create different formats for them. But if you're just starting out, I would say LinkedIn or Instagram. And once you think about ideas for those two platforms, you repurpose them using ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, EasyGen, Poppy AI. Repurpose it to every single platform. And this is how you become visible in this glass full of water. And there is this trend going on Instagram right now. People are tired of professional content. I know I'm in the studio right now, but I'm creating for YouTube, which is different. But overall, people prefer something that's very natural. I started making these videos with my kids and I asked them something and it's like a one shot and they're performing incredibly well and they cost me so much less to produce versus like a really well-produced Instagram video that costs maybe like $100 to my editor and then it takes me like an hour to shoot. Now I am personally kind of switching to this format again for the next few weeks. We'll see what's going to happen this fall because things constantly change. But if you're watching this video and it's August or September, you're in the right spot because we are in this trend of very, very casual videos, which means you don't need a fancy camera, you don't need a studio, you don't even need editing skills. You just need to ask the right questions. You just need to talk about the right things and do it very casually. Because in the world full of sameness, your voice is what makes the content hit. Your ideas are unique. Your apartment is unique. Step number 4, design your growth engine. Growing a personal brand isn't about luck. It's about systems. It's about showing up. It's about being responsible. So here is a simple 30-day roadmap. Week number 1, you define your brand foundation, your message, your audience, and visual style. Week number 2, you launch your content waterfall. You start publishing. And by the way, you engage like crazy, you comment, you reply to DMs, you join conversations. And week 3, you analyze what's going on, what people are excited about. If you don't get any feedback, you repeat week 2. You post and post and post. By the way, you don't just post the same type of content, you experiment. Maybe you film yourself cooking and talking. Maybe you film yourself putting your makeup on and talking. Maybe you talk about this new AI tool. Maybe you talk to your kids about AI. Different things. Please try them all. Week number 4. You try to monetize or test the grounds with one simple offer. Maybe a service, maybe a product, or a one-on-one call. The secret is that consistency is much more important than virality. Don't chase likes, chase trust. This comes from a person who's been around for more than 10 years. The only way I'm able to maintain and sustain this, I am not really chasing trends. I am chasing a lifestyle where creating content is part of my life. I stay sane. I don't chase views and likes all the time. And yes, I don't get the most views, but it's my business and investors valued it at 33 million. And I'm not even from the US. Like, I think it's crazy. I think just the fact that we can build this beautiful career in 2025, documenting our lives, is godsend. Come on, people used to have, they still have creator Zoom calls where they come together, and I think Mr. Beast shared that every week. I don't know if he has this now, but they used to jump on calls with other creators and they used to brainstorm topics for his next videos together. And I was wondering if I could do something like that. And I think smaller creators charge some like $75 an hour for a call like that. Now you have ChatGPT. Now anyone can have a call like that with ChatGPT for free. You can also ask ChatGPT to give your feedback on your content and ask it to rate your visuals, give suggestions. ChatGPT is basically your team, your collaborator. Okay, step number 5. I want you to think about monetizing strategically. It doesn't mean launching a course on day 1. You just need one monetization moment. I like how my friend Christina, who's a lawyer, she started on Instagram. I think she quit Kool-Aid, one of the largest law firms, and she became a lawyer herself. She started a company and she has very few packages that she offers. She has this startup package for I think $2,500 that I use personally to start a company for my snack brand. And she has a couple more. She doesn't have millions of followers on her social media, but she already makes more money than she used to make at that law firm. Why? Because her personal brand is super clear and her offer is super clear. She knows that a lot of people consume social media content and they're thinking about starting a business. So what's the best product? Company incorporation, and it's a C Corp. She's targeting startups. So you need to register in Delaware. If you have a co-founder, you need like all of those smaller details. Of course, you can do it for a smaller amount of money using apps like Clerky. But if you're planning to raise money, of course, you'd hire a lawyer. So think about how you can become like Christina. Think about this offer that you can make to your audience that fits a lot of your followers, but also makes financial sense. Because if you only have like 100 followers and you offer something for $5, it's not going to make you too motivated. But if you have 100 followers and you offer something for $2,500, that's another story. Then once you come up with a product, you can use apps like Stan, you can use Beacons AI to create a product and place call to actions in your content where it feels natural. Like DM me if you want to work together. Another very important step, emails equal control equal money. The algorithms change every single day. And you do not own your audience unless you own emails. Every 100 subscribers is a powerful asset if they trust you. I've recently started my newsletter about the AI tools that I'm using and how I'm using them. I'm going to leave a link below. The app that I'm using is called Beehive. I like their pricing. I like the founder. I know the team. One feature that I really like, they offer you cross promotion across other newsletters. So you can basically buy followers because they understand how hard it is to grow a newsletter. But also, if you have a 10,000 subscriber newsletter, that's already a business. And do not forget that you don't just post success stories on your social media. I was on a podcast a week ago where the guy who was interviewing me, he said his sister used to watch a lot of my content, but then she stopped. And like she stops and resumes, she stops and resumes. Because sometimes I post too much about like achieving things, and that's me. But I also realize how important it is to share the downfalls. Like, I used to work with my husband. We can't do it anymore. I can't stand that dynamic. I have 2 kids and it's messy. I get frustrated. It's very hard to travel with them. They're screaming. They're unhappy. Right now it's summer. They don't have their school. And like, I am driving them to different activities. They're still unhappy. And I have to work as well. I burned out in 2022. I couldn't post. And I kept showing up, but I also shared those things. That is what makes you a real person. Don't build a brand to look rich. Build a brand that's rich in trust, purpose, and freedom. If you're honest with your audience, believe me, it's so much easier than creating a character, because this is where longevity comes from, if you're being you. So here's your challenge. Start today, pick your niche. If I were you, I'd start on LinkedIn. If you're like a business person? 30 days. Post on LinkedIn, create one piece of content, share one story. Don't wait for permission, build your brand, and come back in 30 days and tell me how your life changed, because it is going to change. Just 30 days. Because the future and the present is about being visible, and you need to start being visible. Start building your personal brand today. Come back and thank me later. And subscribe to my newsletter and subscribe to my Instagram, Silicon Valley Girl. And by the way, comment on my haircut, please. There are so many amazing business bloggers on YouTube, but I decided to come up with my own Silicon Valley style list, and I'm going to include companies that are based in Silicon Valley who are doing a lot on YouTube. Of course, I'm going to include people who are not from Silicon Valley, because if you're doing like a business blogger list, you have to include Gary Vee. But this is my own list of channels that I watch and of channels that I highly recommend watching if you're into business and entrepreneurship. If you're interested, continue watching. I'm going to start with a channel run by a prominent Silicon Valley investment firm, Andreessen Horowitz, and they're amazing in terms of helping startups scale. They have a lot of content on upcoming trends. I like their videos about educational trends. They're talking about what China is doing in education and how we Americans and people from the rest of the world can adapt the strategies. They're great experts in what's coming next. Their channel is called A16Z. Highly recommended. And by the way, I actually sat down with them a couple months ago and we talked about their YouTube strategy. So hopefully they're going to grow, because such content has to be popular among business audience. The next channel I'm going to talk about is also by a venture capital firm called Greylock Partners, and they're actually neighboring with Andreessen Horowitz on Sand Hill Road. And the channel is really worth watching because of the free scaling course. It's a Stanford course led by Reid Hoffman. And if you don't know this guy, you have to know it. By the way, once I posted a picture with Brian Chesky on my Instagram because I ran into him at Los Angeles airport, and I was so happy, and people were like, Marina, this is great that you know how he looks like, because we know Airbnb, but we don't know how Brian Chesky looks like. Guys, you have to know how they look like, because if you're gonna run into those people at airports, you know, it's really worth it coming up to them and saying hi and thanking them for, creating those amazing companies. Reid Hoffman co-founded LinkedIn. He's a partner at Greylock Partners, and you can find his course on that channel. If you want more content from Reid Hoffman, I highly recommend an audiobook called Blitzscaling. So basically, he talks about the way you should scale your companies. Sometimes we're stuck with things like, oh my God, I want to make my product perfect, or I want to make sure that my business processes are amazing. And at this time, when you're thinking about your business processes and you're thinking about a product, somebody else is building the exact same company, but they're focusing more on growth, and they're getting their customers' attention, and they're getting their customers to use their product, and it's going to be very hard for you to make those customers switch from their product to your own product. And this is what Reid Hoffman is talking about. If you have an ambition of building a big company, this is something that must be in your audio library. And of course, the best way to access audiobooks is through Audible. I am a member, so in my membership, I get 1 credit to get 1 audiobook per month. But an amazing thing that you can do, if you don't like the audiobook, you just give it back, you get your credit back, and you get another book. And in a month, you can get as many as you want. This is a life hack for me. Plus, every month, you also get 2 Audible originals that you cannot get anywhere else, because this is content created specifically for Audible. Right now, for a limited time, you can get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 a month. That's more than half of the regular price. Visit audible.com/Silicon Valley Girl, or if you're in the United States, text Silicon Valley Girl to 500 to sign up. And this is the time of the year when you make your New Year's resolutions, when you think about the better version of yourself and want to gift yourself something for a productive 2019. Highly recommend you to get this membership, because you get around 53% off the regular price, and you get access
to this amazing library of audiobooks at Audible. Again, members get 1 credit that you can exchange for an audiobook every month and access to 2 Audible originals. And Audible originals are exclusive audio titles created by celebrated storytellers from worlds as diverse as theater, journalism, literature, and more. Get 3 months of Audible for just $6.95 by visiting audible.com/Silicon Valley Girl, or if you're in the US, by texting Silicon Valley Girl to 500. Let's move on to the next channels. The next channel is called Startup Grind. And Startup Grind is actually a conference here in Silicon Valley. It was held in Redwood City this year, and I actually visited it in April 2019. I think it was April 2019. And what's amazing about this conference is that you sit in a beautiful theater, and instead of watching the performance, you're watching Joe Gebbia, who's another co-founder of Airbnb, talk on stage about how they tried to raise money and everybody said no, and then they raised I think they raised over $1 billion and became this huge, amazing company. And you also listen to top people from Silicon Valley investment community. I was able to talk to Nico Bonatzis from General Catalyst and other people. There was the CEO of Y Combinator. So it's an amazing place to network, an amazing place to get knowledge. And if you don't have means to come to that conference, you can just subscribe to Startup Grind's channel, because what they do is they post the best content from that conference on their YouTube channel. The next channel is Russell Brunson's channel, and Russell Brunson is a co-founder of ClickFunnels, and this is another conference that I visited this year. It was held in Nashville in February, and this is an amazing marketing conference. At this conference, you learn how to create funnels, how to do digital marketing, and Russell is an amazing guy. Apart from building this software, ClickFunnels, where you can build your own funnels, he actually created this massive event for 5,000 people. I think there were 5,000 people, and everybody was jumping, and everybody got so motivated to make more money with their businesses. So when I was there, I came home, and I think I spent 2 weeks researching what I could do with my business, and I launched a couple of funnels. On his channel, he talks about strategies that you can use. He sells a lot on his channel, like his products, but he also gives a lot of valuable information about marketing online. Highly recommend it. The next channel, This Week in Startups by Jason Calacanis. And I think if you're thinking of top Silicon Valley channel, I would say Silicon Valley Girl, but unfortunately, if you compare us by guests that we've had on our channels, Jason had a lot more people. He had Travis Kalanick, Uber, co-founder of Uber. He had Ryan Hoover. Ryan created Product Hunt. He had Justin Kahn created Twitch. All Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, he had them. I'm still on that way. And I actually talked to Jason, I think it was in July this year. Wow, this year was so productive, conferences and meeting people. And I think he was really arrogant. We were pitching Lingotrip to him, and he was just sitting like that and listening to us. But this is his style. He's done a lot. He's doing a lot of great things on his channel. So this is just my opinion. I think he was a little bit arrogant when we were pitching him, but this doesn't mean that you cannot learn from his channel. So again, highly recommended This Week in Startups. The next channel is Y Combinator. Y Combinator is an accelerator. We interviewed with them twice and we didn't get in. We got into 500, which was great. And I'm really thankful. Y Combinator was next door to 500 startups in Mountain View. Now 500 moved to San Francisco. Y Combinator invests, I think right now they invest $125,000 in a startup. They take 5% of your company and they help you scale. And basically all the startups that I know who have gone through Y Combinator, they raised at least $1 million on demo day. So the program lasts for 4 months. You come in, you get Y Combinator money, you work on your company, and at the end of this program, you have demo day where you pitch in front of hundreds of investors and you end up getting investment. Y Combinator's channel features interviews with entrepreneurs. They talk about scaling your startup. They talk about metrics that you have to look for. If you are thinking of applying there, you should subscribe to Y Combinator's channel first and see what's their mindset, how they work with their startups. Tim Ferriss is an amazing guy. He wrote 4-Hour Workweek, and I've recommended his audiobook to you in one of my previous videos. He does a lot of interviews on his YouTube channel. I think he could have done better in terms of positioning himself on YouTube, because I know that his primary thing is podcast. So what he does, he just films during podcast. But again, he has really amazing guests. He talks a lot about productivity. So his main focus right now is, I think, being more happy with yourself and leading a healthy lifestyle alongside with running a successful business. Tim Ferriss, over 500,000 followers on YouTube. Let me know if you're gonna become his next follower. By the way, if you find yourself watching one of those channels and if you find their content useful, please comment below on their channels. Comment that you're from Silicon Valley Girl so that they know who recommended. This is really important for me, and I think it would be great if you could do that. The next channel is approaching 1 million followers and it's called Think Media. And this is a channel where I get ideas and resources for building my personal brand on YouTube, because those guys, they're attending all the conferences that are connected with building a personal brand, marketing, video marketing. They do reviews of cameras and gear that you can use. They also give you ideas on how to make more money from your videos. So if you're into YouTube world, Think Media is the channel for you. Okay, the next channel is really controversial. According to many people, 1.3 million followers, Tai Lopez, amazing marketing guy. On Black Friday, I was researching what he's offering, so I left my email, and I got, since then, I think I got around 10 emails. Ty's face is chasing me everywhere. It's chasing me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Google, like he's everywhere on my laptop now. He's amazing at creating courses. I think he produces 3 or 4 new courses a year, maybe more. He teaches people how to invest money. What I like about him is he teaches you how to read fast. I think he reads a book a day. I don't know how he does it. I'm trying to adapt his skills. I'm trying to read as fast as he, but I can do 6 books a month maximum. He went viral with one of his ads where he was showing his Lamborghini in his garage and also showing his books. So there are a lot of things that you can learn from him. First, digital marketing, how to chase people with your offers everywhere. Second, how to read fast. And you know, for me, he's so motivational with the amount of things that he does in 24 hours. Okay, the next channel, Gary Vee. I've talked about him a lot. I just hope that someday I'm gonna interview him for Silicon Valley Girl, and he's from Belarus, so he knows Russian. I feel kind of, you know, related to him because he has the same story of coming to the US from ex-Soviet Union country, was Soviet Union back then. So yeah, Gary Vee talks about building personal brand, talks about repurposing content, talks about running his 800 people company, I think. A lot of things to learn from that guy. He's a little repetitive, so if you watch him for a long time, you will find him saying the same things over and over again. But if you haven't watched him, you know, dedicate a month to just following his content and you'll get the idea what he's about, and he's really motivational. And the last channel, and it's the last because it has the most number of subscribers. He has over 6 million followers. He's interviewed Elon Musk. They smoked weed during that interview. They drank alcohol, and I think Elon was a little high. This is one of his most famous videos, and you know who I'm talking about? I'm talking about Joe Rogan. The guy who manages to get millions of views on every single video, who manages to get top sportsmen, top entrepreneurs, top people from any industry to his interviews. Subscribe to him. You don't have to watch every single interview, but if you're subscribed, you just see what's coming up in your feed, and sometimes you see Elon Musk and you're like, wow, I need to watch it. So Joe Rogan is the guy who I'm gonna wrap up this video with. Again, guys, if you're watching those people's videos and you like them, comment below and tell them that you're from Silicon Valley Girl. And don't forget to get your Audible membership, because knowledge is everything. Tai Lopez says that. Thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for following Silicon Valley Girl. If you're not yet subscribed, this is my daughter who's 3 weeks old. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, hit subscribe, and I'm gonna go and see why Emily's crying. See you soon. Bye-bye. Hey guys, welcome to Silicon Valley Girl. Today we're gonna chat about starting a business today and what I would do differently if I had to start today. Quick background on me. I am an immigrant in the US. I came here from Russia in 2015. I started my first business in 2011. I basically have 3 companies these days. One of them is called LanguageTrip, which I co-founded together with 2 other co-founders. We help people learn languages and we help people study abroad. The next company manages my channels. I have 3 YouTube channels. The one that you're watching right now, another channel called Lingua Marina, and another channel called Marina Mogilko. So this company is responsible for all the cash flow and all the activities associated with running a channel. And the third company is basically an umbrella company for all of my media activities, and I have partners there because I was the first content creator to raise a venture round here in Silicon Valley. So today I just wanted to deep dive into what I would do in 2023, 2024, if I had to start a business again. Number one thing, I would just totally be honest with myself and ask myself, Marina, are you solving a problem that you're passionate about? Or are you solving a problem because it's just so trendy and all of the VCs are investing so much money into this problem? And everybody's eyes lighten up if you start mentioning that problem. Be true to yourself. Because the reality is, if you're really into NFTs or whatever the hype is, AI, then you're gonna build a company. If you're not, then nothing's gonna come out of it. The problem is, these days, is we're moving so fast from one trend to another, and it's really hard to stick to your problem. So my niche, my audience are people who are learning languages. And throughout the years, there was so many trends around me, and some of them I try to embrace, like becoming a creator, because that was in me. But some of them, it was really hard for me to just focus on what I was doing and not pay attention to those trends. And those trends were chatbots, NFT, crypto, whatever, name it. But if we look at successful companies or even successful creators, because I consider creators who do this full time, I consider them entrepreneurs because they have to hire people, they have to come up with their own product, they have to make their product better, aka make their videos better, and also come up with different ways to monetize their product. So I feel like creators are almost entrepreneurs, right? Maybe with less staff, but ask Mr. Beast if less staff is actually applicable here. So ask yourself whether you would be able to do this for the next 5 years, 10 years. Because otherwise, if it's just something that you want to try for a year, maybe not worth your time. Maybe think of something else. I wanted to pause for a quick ad and tell you guys that as an entrepreneur, as a YouTuber, I understand that my tech is my work instrument. And sometimes people are like, oh, I'm not gonna get the new iPhone, but I'm like, how do you make money? Oh, by making videos, but your quality is gonna get so much better. So always invest in new tech, but it can also be pricey, so I make sure that I protect it. And Spec, a company that has been creating award-winning products for Apple and Samsung and Google and LG, are sponsoring today's video. By the way, this is what happens to your iPhone if you don't use the case, especially if you have kids around. This is my husband's iPhone, and yes, I am gifting him one of the Spec cases. Spec has been in the market for over 22 years, and they want to make sure that your device is always safe from falling and breaking down. Spec creates protective cases that don't hinder the manufacturer's intended functionality, but enhance it. The cases have everything you want in a case. Low profile, good corner protection, raised front for face-first falls. This year, they've introduced their new iPhone 15 Presidio 2 collection with Click Lock. For those of you who don't know what Click Lock is, it's a solution to help prevent MagSafe accessories from slipping. This magnetically attracted bolt automatically extends when a Click Lock MagSafe iPhone case is brought into proximity, acting as a mechanical interlock. I really like their wallet accessory because it helps me carry my cards and ID without having to carry any additional items, purses. Super helpful when I just drive around, kids, work, etc. I just take my phone, that's it. And people are always asking me on Instagram, Marina, why do you have a wallet attached to your phone? Don't you have Apple Pay? Of course I have Apple Pay, but I need my driver's license. I need my cards in case they don't accept Apple Pay, which happens way too often these days. And the car mount helped me drive hands-free when using my favorite navigation app while driving. They are offering 15% off your entire purchase if you're using my promo code, and the link and the promo code are in the description box. Check them out. Now back to the video. Since we started talking about a problem to solve, if it's your first business, I would always just solve a problem that you have. Just because you will be so interested in solving it in the right way, If something is not working for you, and let me give you an example. I don't know. I live in Los Altos and I really miss some sort of food, right? And I want to start a restaurant because I miss that food. And I'm really into offline businesses, etc. And I'm interested in making this place the best place in the world. Because you know what you want and what people like you miss in the area. You will be really passionate about doing it in a right way. And yes, later on, like if I would start today, but with my experience of building businesses, I would actually look at the size of the market, whether this industry is dying or not. But if I'm 21 again and I'm starting my own business, like who cares? I really care about helping people in the market that I understand. And when I was 21, I understood the study abroad market. And this is what I did. And yes, now you can argue, it's kind of dying. People are studying online. AI is taking over language learning because who needs it? This you could argue, right? And if we look at the numbers, study abroad market is probably declining. But I was so passionate back then. And it gave me what it gave me. We moved to the US. We learned how to, hire and fire people. And I'm just so grateful to it. And if back then, in 2011, somebody told me, Marina, but study abroad is a bad problem to solve, you have to start an IT company. And I'll be like, I don't understand anything about that niche, right? So if that was the case, I would just go and work for a big corporation. So this is a very important thing. Thing number 3 and 4 are really interconnected. And I'm going to start with a story. I want you to learn about a great entrepreneur. Hopefully I get a chance to interview him. His name is Roman. He's from India and he runs a huge educational company in India. His company's valuation is over $1 billion. He started as an educator, like me. He started talking about standardized tests in India. He started as an educator, but very soon he realized that he can't teach all the time, teach and make videos and run a company. And he thought of a strategy where he hired the best teachers. Well, he raised a venture round here in Silicon Valley. He raised like $250 million. He started hiring the best teachers, but also his strategies. We know how YouTube works. Let's just create a gazillion of channels to promote our services and to give people value. And I was chatting with him a week ago and he's like, Marina, I've been everywhere on your journey. And, if you want to become a billionaire and build $1 billion company, raise millions and millions of dollars from VCs, oh my God, you're going to be so stressed out all the time. And you have 2 small kids, and do you really want it? And by the way, watch the TV show called Succession to understand deeper what it means to run $1 billion company. Then he's like, do you want to IPO and depend on the market, on the public opinion? Or do you want to stay what you are right now, a creator? You kind of have your own independence, but yes, the business stops if you stop. And he's like, oh, with your channel, this is the maximum. He told me, I think it was maximum like $5 million a year that I can make with my educational channel. And that was so enlightening. I was like, okay, because always in the back of my mind, I always had this idea, I really want to build $1 billion company. But then learning about his daily routine, I was like, maybe this is not the case. So really what I want you to ask yourself is, where is it all going? Do I want to become a billionaire, run a huge company, report to my investors, report to the market, hire hundreds of people and fire hundreds of people? Or do I want to live a normal life? Or do I want to become a celebrity? Like, ask yourself where it is that you're going, because it will really help you structure your thoughts and your perspective on your business. Now, number 4, that is really tied to it, that I'm trying to achieve in my own way. Make sure your business is not 100% tied to you and your personal brand online. And again, you might say, but Marina, if I'm a YouTuber, how does that happen? Invest in Airbnbs, invest in stocks, start a brand on Amazon, like whatever. I'm trying to figure out my maybe real estate strategy. I'm trying to figure out maybe it's a brand on Amazon. And yes, LinguaTrip is kind of independent from me. It still sells better if I'm the face of it, right? I understand that. But I really want to make sure the company is able to function without me. This is why I'm no longer teaching, really. I have some classes with the courses. But we're focused on hiring the best teachers in the industry because I want to make sure I can retire. Whatever you're building, if it's a consulting business, ask yourself, in 2 years, how can I take a 6-week vacation? Ask yourself how I can just retire from this business and make sure it still pays dividends. Very important. Another thing, start delegating from day one. And I know it might sound a little outrageous if you're starting your own business. You're like, Marina, I don't have cash for that. Who delegates starting day one? Well, first of all, we live in 2023. Welcome to our reality. We have AI. Well, God bless AI, but also there's so many negative things going on. Somebody just created ads with my avatar, which is, you know, they're saying things with my voice that I didn't say, and they're selling their get rich fast scheme, and it's bad. But anyways, in terms of delegation, basic things you could delegate to AI, like research, marketing, whatever, just try. You know, it's like with investing. You have to start to feel it. You have to start to feel what feels right and feels wrong. Start hiring. The best first hire, I always tell people, personal assistant. You know, just learn how to delegate mail, learn how to delegate email, learn how to delegate basic things, learn how to create a checklist for your first employee or a contractor, right? And then this is how you start. And like, this is something genius that I've heard. If you are doing something that pays like $20 an hour, like you're sending mail, this is how much your company makes, because you're the bottleneck. You should be focused on $10,000 decisions, hiring the best in the industry, researching how industry works, not sending email, okay? I made this mistake of doing too many things by myself and focusing on just selling versus just hiring the best salesperson. And this is why we grew so slowly in the first years. Again, I was just figuring out. I started a business when there was YouTube, but it wasn't that big. I had no idea about YouTube. And I just tried to figure out everything by myself. And this is why everything was so slow back then. Which is also good. I feel like we're moving too fast these days. If we're moving too fast, you have to make sure you're also moving fast with the world. And the last but not least, focus on community first. If you don't have a business idea, if you don't know what you want to do, start mingling with people who are doing something that you like. Ask them questions. Help someone for free. Just get a feel of the process. It will really help you navigate the world full of different ideas. And it would definitely help you progress. And it would definitely help you start acting faster. Because this is the modern world. Whoever acts fast wins. Whoever thinks too long about an idea, somebody else just starts doing it and you're done. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. I hope it was useful for you guys, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you soon on Silicon Valley Girl. Bye.
2 years ago, my calendar looked like this. I had 3 YouTube channels and 2 businesses. Now, my calendar looks like this. I have 3 YouTube channels, 2 businesses, and 2 kids. Welcome to Silicon Valley Girl. In this video, I'm going to share my journey from this calendar to this calendar. And it's also a transformational journey from trying to chase everyone's successes on Instagram and trying to compete with everyone to actually being honest with myself, being honest about my bigger goals, and being internally happy. So if you're interested, continue watching this video. This video is going to be 3 parts. In the first part, I'm going to talk about rules that I follow when planning my day. The second part would be about questions that you should ask yourself in order to be clear about your abilities and your goals. And the third part would be actual tips that I follow when planning my day. If you follow me on Instagram, a couple of days ago, I decided that I want to work from an office, and I shared that in my stories. The thing is, when you're at home, it's great to be close to your kids and play with them from time to time when you're working, like take breaks. But another problem is that, for example, yesterday I was on a Zoom call and I was in my room, but my window was open, and Emily heard me from the backyard and she started crying. And it's just being stressed all the time. And because I'm working 2-3 hours a day, I'm kind of shifting to 3 to 4 hours a day. I decided that I would take this time and work from an office, because Lily's fine for like 3 hours without me. I nurse her. I thought we would need to rent an extra office, but we have an office in South San Francisco with LinguaTrip, and that membership allows us to work from any of their offices in the Bay Area. So I have this nice co-working now. I have plenty of options around our house, and I get to work with him. Him. Dimitri.
Husband. We used to work together since 2011, and it felt so weird that he would leave for the office every single morning, come back in the evening and be like, how the hell is he working without me? So, now we're working together. Work will fill the time available for its completion. This is Parkinson's law, and basically it says that if you tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna give myself 2 hours to go through my emails, that means you're gonna take 2 hours to go through your emails. However, if you tell yourself I only have 5 minutes to do this, then your brain will adapt and try to look for solutions. In June 2021, the average working week for all employees in the US was at 38.8 hours. Yet a study revealed that an office worker is only productive and actually work for only 2 hours and 53 minutes of the working day. The rest of the time, worker reads news websites 1 hour 5 minutes, checks social media 44 minutes, discusses non-work related things 40 minutes, searches for new jobs 26 minutes, takes smoke breaks 23 minutes, makes calls to partners or friends 18 minutes, makes hot drinks, that's me, 17 minutes. The thing is, our brain is only capable of focused work for 4 to 6 hours a day. It really depends on what kind of work you're trying to do. So for example, our CTO always tells me like I can only code for 6 hours a day. That's the maximum. I would need the rest of my time to do something different. In my case, blogging, for example, it requires so much energy. I can only record maybe 4 or 5 videos a day, which is 2 or 3 hours of talking maximum. So based on what you're doing, you can only be focused for 4 to 6 hours a day. Now, when I got my first kid and then I got my second kid, I realized I can no longer work on a schedule I used to have before. I'm no longer able to wake up at 9 a.m., spend 1 hour scrolling from Instagram, then make a lot of calls, then do a lot of meetings, and I start prioritizing. So the first question I ask myself is, what's important? I can't miss my kids' development. I can't work for 9 hours a day and be absent from their childhood, from their lives. So I told myself, okay, I need to come up with certain hours when I can work. And this actually helps a lot as well. I know that I'm super energetic in the morning, but I also know that in the afternoon my energy declines. So I try to spend at least 30 minutes with my kids in the morning so they can get some of that energy. Then I go and work for 3 to 4 hours, and then in the afternoon I don't work at all. Well, I do some Instagram stories, but that's it. It's not like proper focused work. Now, once we know the basic rules and how our brain works, let's go and dig deeper into our values. So first of all, you need to accept the situation. And I accepted that now I have kids and I can't be on the schedule I used to be on before, and I want to be in my kids' lives, but I also understand I can't live without work. So accepting situation was the first step. The second step was trying to figure out what times during the day I could dedicate to working. And I thought, okay, in the morning, I'm the most productive, I have a lot of energy, and also my kids in the morning, they either nap or they can go to a playground, so they're also active. And I decided that hours that I can work are going to be in the first part of the day. And this again helps you schedule meetings in advance, helps you understand your rhythms, because then you know that if you have a call at 10 a.m., you probably should go to bed earlier so you can spend some time in the morning with your kids so you can have your healthy breakfast, etc. The next step is prioritizing your tasks. So what I try to do now is to have 1 to 2 big goals per day, and a big goal can be either jump on a call with an investor, or create 2 or 3 videos, or maybe have a big team call. Because if I have too many, then it's just too much to handle in terms of my brain capacity. And once you know that you only have time for 1 or 2 big tasks per day, you actually understand that there would be a lot of things where you would have to say no, and you need to be okay with it. So I told myself, okay, I have 3 of my YouTube channels, top priority. I have 2 businesses, top priority. But the rest, like networking or partying or whatever, I will have to say no, and I'm okay with it because I'm very clear with myself about my goals. And I also want to be that person who makes small steps towards their goal every single day, instead of making my life a rat race where I just, run somewhere every single day, and then at the end of the week I'm exhausted, and then at the end of my life I feel like I haven't spent too much time with my kids and was just trying to accomplish something I didn't really want to. And another principle that I actually realized realized this a couple of weeks ago. With all the COVID and all of the work from home situation, I thought, well, it's great to work from home because I'm close to my kids. But in reality, when my kids hear that I'm on a Zoom call or they just hear my voice, they go mad. And two solutions to it. First, I got a co-working where I could just go and make my calls and have my focus work. And the second solution is if you have a nanny or if you get help, try and get your kids into playgrounds. And again, when I didn't have a kid, I was like, why is everyone so angry about playgrounds being closed? Like, why don't you play with your kid at home? Now I understand. You can't work when your kid is at home. You just can't be in the same environment. Like, I have a bigger house, and I thought that would be a solution. But because they can hear me throughout the house, this doesn't really work. You need to get really serious about distractions if you're trying to work 2 or 3 hours a day, because this time is going to be just for you. Task number 1 for today, buy LVMH stocks. My mom asked me for LVMH stock in her portfolio, but the problem is there are only certain brokers that let you buy LVMH. Webull doesn't let you, Robinhood doesn't let you, but there's another one that lets you. Gotta love all the co-working spaces here in the Bay Area. Completely empty. Dima and I and a couple more people in a huge room, and the whole building is empty and the parking lot is empty. Amazing. Come and work if you want. And the last principle is actually to get comfortable with delegating, because you won't be able to live without it. Even if you're a small business, even if you're just starting out, you know how much money you can make per hour. And the rule here is to find someone who takes less than that and delegate tasks that could be delegated. And it applies to both work and home tasks. Like I've delegated, well, this is a journey and I've been doing this for a while. But I was able to delegate cooking, I get help with kids, I've delegated almost all of my YouTube process, but it took me some time, and not only financially, also mentally, because I thought, who would edit videos better than I do? Who would take care of my kid better than I do? And then you just realize you need to focus on the quality hours that you have with your kid, and you need to focus on your superpower, talking to your camera and coming up with scripts. Now, those were the principles that I used. Now let's move on to practical rules that would help you create a schedule that would allow you to work for 2 or 3 hours a day and still accomplish everything that you want to. I want to start with my 2 favorite rules, a 2-minute rule and a 5-second rule. 2-minute rule says that if you have a task that takes less than 2 minutes, then you'd rather do it now instead of putting it into your calendar, because otherwise we are tempted actually to create a calendar with a lot of smaller tasks, like reply to an email, and then you tick it and you're like, oh, all the dopamine, I'm doing something. And then, I don't know, clean your desk, tick. I think it's fake productivity. Yes, getting this dopamine is important, but I'd rather focus on 1 or 2 bigger tasks instead of just spending time to write down all the smaller tasks. So I don't do that, especially if you have a lot of tasks that only take 2 minutes, like buy tickets to a conference or create a schedule for the next day. If it takes less than 2 minutes, then do it now. 5-second rule is a rule that tells that if you have a big goal in your mind, if you came up with the idea, within the first 5 seconds, take a first step towards the goal. Like, for example, if I decide that I want to start this company, then within the first 5 seconds, I'm going to write down the name of it, or maybe contact a guy who I know codes well and ask him if he would be interested in coding a website. So make this first step, because it is really easy to accumulate a lot of ideas. Like, I have a notebook with a lot of business ideas and I try to share them on this channel. But if I really want to execute on something, I would just rather take the first step right away so I can keep myself accountable later. The second rule that I use is batching tasks. So today I'm trying to record 2 or 3 videos just because I don't like creating 1 video per day, because that means putting on my makeup, making my hair, setting up the studio, the lights, everything. And batching tasks saves a lot of time. So I have a day throughout the week when I make my videos. I have a day when I jump on calls with team. I have a day when I just do regular tasks on my laptop, like replying to emails, getting back to people, planning stuff, etc. Batching really helps save you time. Because if you jump from one task to another, like if I had to record this video and then go in a call and then answer emails, I would just feel really distracted. The next rule is learning to say no. And if you go back to principles, if you go back to answering a question what's important for you, then it will be really easy to say no. So these days, I no longer use a phrase, I don't have time for this. I use a phrase, it's no longer my priority. Like, if I get an offer from a company that sounds interesting, but I realize that I won't have enough time to
enjoy it and to make it the way I would be happy about it, I would just rather say no and focus on things where I can create a bigger impact. And it gets easier to say no when you have kids, and I use my pregnancy as an excuse a lot. I would always be like, I'm sorry, I'm pregnant, I'm about to deliver a baby, let's talk about this later. But I also understand that the shifting things doesn't help. I would rather say no right away and take this question out of my list and no longer think about it, because just having something in your mind just takes this energy away. So I don't do it, and I'm still learning to say no, and I think I'm gonna work with a therapist about saying no. Sometimes I think too much about making sure other people are happy instead of thinking about my own happiness, so I'm gonna work on that, but saying no is definitely the first step. Okay, I'm off to Whole Foods to return some bottles, and then I'm back home, so it works for a couple of hours. Haven't done much, mostly enjoyed the atmosphere, but the next time I'm here, I'm gonna work more. Mom's car. Comment if you can relate. Look at this. I wanted to use my trunk for all the purchases, but unfortunately, this is what it looks like. I can't really use the back seat because it's full of kids stuff as well. Even here. Oh my god, I need to clean the car. And this is by the way my friend's car, and I know he might watch this vlog. Milk, banana. That was from yesterday's walk. I don't know if you guys interested in see what I bought, but heavy cream. Oh, this is the best. This is something we're gonna try with my mom. And I got some hummus and rice, and I'm gonna go home. And on my way back home, I'm gonna listen to a book by Wojcicki mother, who raised 3 amazing daughters. Goals. It's such an inspiring book. If you're a mom, then I highly recommend this book. If you're not a mom, then wait till you come home and read this. It's amazing. It's a great book, and I like that everything happens around where we actually live, same neighborhood, and I keep hearing the same names of different villages, different names of different streets, and I'm like, oh my god, I can totally relate, so highly recommend it. If you don't know Wojcicki sisters, their story is totally amazing. One of them is Susan Wojcicki, CEO of YouTube. Another one, Anne Wojcicki, co-founded 23andMe, the company that analyzes your genome and tells you which illnesses you might have. And another daughter is a professor at UCSF. And reading a book by a mom who's able to raise 3 amazing daughters is something I would pay a lot for, and I'm so glad she actually wrote this book and we all can learn from her. 24 minutes drive home. It's Friday, so I'll go back home. We're gonna have dinner. Dima's gonna come back from work, and we're gonna go for a walk to downtown Los Altos probably. We'll see. The next rule, muting everything everywhere. My phone is always on silent mode, and my husband hates it because whenever he calls me, I don't hear it. But all of my notifications are turned off. Even on my laptop, even on my computer, everything is turned off. Because if I'm on Telegram answering messages, then I will see everything. If I'm answering emails, I don't want to see those Telegram notifications. I want to focus on my emails. If I'm shooting a video, I don't want anyone to call me. I don't want to reply to texts or have something distract me. So turn off all the notifications and focus. Choose tasks wisely each day. And that means that you have to account for your energy, how you feel. So for example, for me, Monday is one of the worst days of the week because everyone is suddenly back to work and I'm bombarded with messages and emails. So I decided that Monday is a day where I don't plan anything. I don't post on Instagram. Well, at least I don't post the way I do every single day, but I try to take some break from social media. I don't film any videos, and we used to have this big team call every Monday. And a couple of weeks ago, I just told my team that we have to move it to Tuesday because Monday is so overwhelming. And they were actually so happy about it because they felt the same way about Mondays. So Monday is always this weird day for everyone. So probably don't plan a lot of big things on Monday. But for example, Thursday and Friday, this is when I feel that the weekend is almost here. Everyone is a lot more relaxed. And I try to plan more tasks for Thursday and Friday because I just take them easier. I try to do all the meetings on Friday and Thursday just because, again, they feel more like relaxing than business. So Thursday and Friday are the days when I try to work the most. And the last but not the least, just some basic tips. I always make sure that my bedroom looks nice. This is where I work from. I have a studio, which is this room,
but my office is in my bedroom, so I need to make sure it looks good, so I feel productive. And I always start my day with making sure that it looks nice. And the second, exercise. And I try to exercise every day. Either go on a 30-minute hike, and we live in the hills, so it's up and down, and I listen to an audiobook, which is another great way to enjoy your exercise routine if you don't really enjoy sports. And I also bought a marathon, like a fitness marathon, from my favorite blogger, because again, I don't like working out, but just realizing that I'm in a company of my favorite blogger makes exercising more enjoyable. So I try to exercise every day. That also helps me distract from my daily routine and think about bigger ideas and think about what I'm actually doing with my life. Thank you guys so much for watching this video up to the very end. I hope it was useful for you. And if it was, please subscribe to Silicon Valley Girl, like this video, and I'll see you very soon in my next videos. Bye bye.